For me, the perfect day trade plan is one that you hit your goals in the first few minutes and you turn off the computer and go live your best day. It was the origination of my story, but it actually came from the symbol of what it implies, a level of freedom you can get if you get trading right. You can learn technique, you can learn how to paint by numbers, but that doesn't make you an artist, right? You shouldn't have to change your lifestyle to support your trading. The idea is you take what the market wants to give you, not what you want from the market. I always say that if you want to succeed at trading, first you have to really take ownership of why you're trading, and then you have to have that conversation with the person in the mirror to make sure that what you do is congruent with your reason for trading. So the next logical, the second power, the next logical question is, well, if I'm trading to make money, how do I do it? And the answer is,
here is a controversial truth, and that is that most traders are doomed before they ever place their first trade. It's not because they lack capital. It's not even because they don't have the right strategy. It's because they don't understand why they're trading in the first place. Today's guest has spent over 30 years proving that mindset and process, not luck, separate the winners from the losers. Troy Noonan is the creator of The Backpack Trader and the author of the highly acclaimed book, The Day Trading Quick Start Guide. His very first big trade, he unknowingly jumped on the same trade as George Soros during the infamous attack on the British pound. That's the trade that broke the Bank of England. Soros made billions. Troy made enough to backpack across Europe and discovered a whole new lifestyle. And since then, he's coached thousands of traders. He's hosted live trade rooms for nearly 2 decades, and he's built strategies that adapt to any market condition. And in this episode, Troy reveals why most traders fail, that critical mindset, and that step-by-step framework to finally achieve sustained success. And if you think trading is about hot tips or catching every market move, you're about to get a serious wake-up call. Here is my conversation with Troy Noonan, the Backpack Trader. So Troy, we've known each other for quite some time. I got to say at least 10 years. I would like to know about your trading journey. Like, how did you get interested in trading?
yeah. Well, first of all, it's nice to see you again, Eddie. Thanks for having me on. It has been a long time. We've done a lot of presentations in the past, so I'm glad to circle back around and have this conversation with you. Well, my trading journey happened purely by accident, really, over 35 or close to 35 years ago, when I received a brochure in the mail showing me price patterns and things like head and shoulders patterns and profits that were made. And this idea came to mind that I had never thought of before, that literally a price pattern can kind of predict what's likely to happen next with a high level of accuracy. And so I started to learn about that.
You received this brochure in the snail mail.
Yeah, it was before the internet, really.
Right.
I mean, the internet was barely starting. And so I was doing a business at that time. It was killing me. It was really a great business, but it was, maybe I slept 3 hours a night, I was in my mid-20s and I could handle it, but it was definitely getting to me. So I was looking for a change. And I ended up learning how to trade, and I subscribed to paper charts. I was getting them in the mail once a week and filling in the charts by hand with the closing prices from the Wall Street Journal, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed the pattern, the very first pattern I learned about had formed on the British pound. And I took a chance and ended up shorting the British pound. And what I didn't know at the time, unwittingly, I had hopped on the same price action that has become infamously known as the trade that broke the Bank of England. Have you heard of that?
I heard
Pretty
that
well
trade,
known.
but it was a long time ago. Tell
Yeah.
us what happened.
Yeah, so a gentleman by the name of George Soros was breaking the Bank of England, shorting the pound against major currencies, and he made billions. I took my several grand that I made and ended up backpacking through Europe.
Wow.
And discovered a level of freedom that I had never known yet in my life. And my business was being run by a capable manager. And being a drummer, I picked up some bongos along the way,
Cool.
started sitting with street musicians all over Europe. And in Italy, I met a Venezuelan musician who, the following year, I went to visit in Venezuela, and within 24 hours, I met my wife, who I literally just had my 30-year anniversary with a couple days ago.
Well, congratulations. That
So I would say Soros made billions.
I happen to have a South American wife myself.
Well, then you know what I know what you're in for, what you're into,
There's a
and
fire in the
what it's
belly.
about.
21 years for me, but there's a fire
Good
in
for
the
you.
belly, as we know.
Yeah, to say the least, which keeps life interesting.
Yes, it does.
I always say Soros made billions. I made a wife and kids. You could decide who got the better end of that trade, but I was hooked. I was bit by the bug, and that was the beginning of my journey.
So it started with forex trading.
Yeah, that was the first significant trade. I often tell the story of one of the worst trades I ever made in my life, which was Cisco Systems, where I picked up 100 shares for $20, and not too much longer. I don't remember how long it was, but it didn't take too long to get to $30, and I sold it for 50% profit, which you'd think, and $1,000 profit in those days was a lot of money. That people were working at $4.25 an hour, minimum wage in those days. But why it's the worst trade? Because if I knew what I was doing, I probably would have held on to it, which that same 100 shares later became worth $300,000. So
right.
I made $1,000.
So this must have been
profit.
when Cisco was running in the 90s. It was.
Yeah, it's during that same time period.
Right. So that's when if I was a stockbroker during that era, and so it was, believe it or not, Microsoft is still in there, but
yeah.
There were a few names back then: Qualcomm, AOL, Cisco Systems was one of those names that was a real high flyer. It's kind of breathing. It has some life in it still, but it's not like it was in the 90s where it was one of those real high flyers. How did you make the switch from the forex trading into stocks, or was the system you were using just universal?
Yeah, boy, I don't remember that was a long time ago. I was trading a number of things. My discount broker was charging me $50 round turn to trade futures.
That was a
Glenn
discount.
Waldock. Yeah, so I mean, in those days, it was just the wild, wild west. And I got in. So my Backpack Trader, was born from that first early trade.
Okay, so that's where the name Backpack Trader comes from. When you went backpacking?
Well, now it does. Yeah, it was the origination of my story, but it actually came from the symbol of what it implies, a level of freedom you can get if you get trading right.
Right.
So it's important to get it right.
So who was your mentor?
In those days, I was just kind of on my own, pretty much self-taught. I was reading a lot of books, but I didn't really have a mentor. The first mentor that I got came much later when I first encountered NetPicks.
Okay.
Well, first the Backpack Trader had to become an adolescent, and during the dot-com boom, I went on another trip through Europe and was hopping on and off of trains at various cities around Western Europe, hopping into the internet cafes that were proliferating all over the place, and I was trading in and out of these cafes. And at that point, I'm like, wow, this is really cool. What a lifestyle, So it was starting to develop, and I was starting to realize what I didn't know. In fact, when the dot-com bust happened is when I really learned what I didn't know, like so many others. And I encountered a company called NetPicks. I started sitting in on webinars like so many people still do. And I ended up buying one of their early strategies because it introduced to me some concepts I wasn't aware of: structure on the chart, the idea of creating a trade plan, just some things that we take for granted now, though most traders still don't do some of these things that they probably should be doing. But what ultimately, they heard me interacting with some of their other members on one of their forums, and one day out of the blue, they called me and asked me to join their company as their first trading coach.
Wow.
Which was a shock to me. I'd never been one, but the only reason why I really accepted the offer was because it challenged me to become a better trader. Right. If I'm going to be a good trade coach, I better be a better trader. And so it made sense to do it. And within 30 days, I found myself starting to host their live trade room. Wow. Something that I realized I'd have to become a really good trader if I'm to be good at calling trades that other people are depending on. So for that reason, I did it, and I ended up hosting that trade room for 18 straight years.
Wow. And so, what markets were you focused on in that trade room?
Well, it started out with the Russell E-mini.
Okay.
In those days, it was the ER2. It's $100 a point. You know,
Right.
things are a lot different
Yeah,
today.
much bigger contracts.
Yeah. And I'll never forget, you know, the curtains open, and I'd never called a live trade room before. And I'm saying hello to like 180 some odd people in the trade room for the very first time ever. And, you know, have you ever had to sing in front of a big audience on stage? You know,
You don't want to
scary,
hear me
right?
sing.
No,
This
me
is
neither,
about my
but
biggest audience right here.
but scary. I
Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
well,
100%.
this was more scary
It's live.
because
Right.
so 4 words popped in my that well, first of all, the first trade showed up and it felt so awkward, and it just didn't feel right to me, and I almost didn't call it, and I'm like, 4 words popped in my head: lean on the system. And it saved my ass,
Mm.
because in so doing that, it took all the pressure off of me. If the trade won or lost, it wouldn't be my fault, because I'm just being a professional. My job is to call the trade according to the plan. And so it just put me in a place where I had no choice but to be good at what I did.
Yeah.
And
You were
there's a lot of
forced to,
irony.
sounds like you were forced to follow the plan in real time because you had an audience who was essentially your
Yeah,
accountability for
yeah,
following that plan, and as described
exactly.
by Netpicks. Sounds an awful
Right.
lot like Netflix. Was that on
It
purpose?
does.
Did Netflix even exist back then?
I don't know, or if it
Maybe
might
it
have
was
been a
super early,
fledgling.
super early.
I know
Um,
Blockbuster did.
it seems so primitive, doesn't it now? It's like
Yeah.
unbelievable. I mean, even I don't want to go down a rabbit hole here, but even Netflix is a little. The original version was primitive. They used to send us the DVDs in the mail. It's amazing how far it's come. But let's just go back to the methodology, the plan, as you were saying. Is that plan still the plan and methodology that you use today?
No, boy,
No.
things changed. That was
Okay.
you know, we're talking 18 years. I quit in 2022 with the trade room. So 20 plus years ago. As a result of calling live trades over a few years' time, I started developing my own strategies.
Okay. Tell us
And
about those.
yeah, sure. So my first strategy came out, Seven Summits Trader, the SST. You might even remember that, because it was way back when you and I were doing some live stuff together. You appeared in my trade room even. And so the SST was a great strategy, and it was super successful. In fact, NetPicks was very successful marketing it. There were over 1,000 users world in 100 plus countries that purchased it in the first year. And I still get emails today from people saying they're still using it and they love it, which is incredible to me, because
Awesome.
I've developed many strategies since. But my strategies are all based on pure price action, and they use the idea that a certain price pattern exists and that repeats over and over again, because human nature doesn't really change. And if you can identify that pattern, certain patterns, you can predict what's likely to happen next with a high degree of accuracy.
Yes.
And I learned this concept early on. One of the early books I read back, way back, even before when I was telling you about the trade that broke the Bank of England, this idea that the immediate past can predict the immediate future with a high degree of accuracy is still the philosophy that I lean on to this day, because the idea is the immediate past is whatever happened that created this pattern, and this pattern that repeats over and over again on all markets and time frames. And you have such a large sample set that you could predict what's likely to happen next, right? The immediate future. So that's the idea. The immediate past can predict the immediate future with a high degree of accuracy if you can find one of these patterns and then learn how to identify it
Okay.
and research it enough so that you know what likely happens next. So that's what I built my strategies around.
Now, this is your
And
mainly futures trading and your day trading, or are you more swing trading? How
well,
would you define it?
yeah, so in the trade room, it was mostly day trading, but my strategies also work for swing trading, and they work across futures, forex, stocks, options. They're pretty universal.
Okay.
So rely on a variety of charts and styles of trading.
Okay. So you work for NetPicks. You quit that, and now you started the Backpack Trader. Is that right?
Yeah, it was about 7 years ago, I think,
Okay.
when I finally broke out on my own.
Okay.
And I had already created a number of trading strategies, all different, doing different things. And one of the signature things that sets me apart with my strategies is that each one of them will show you the trade, the entry, the target, the stop, all predetermined based on the pattern, and they adjust to market conditions. I call it dancing with the market. So sometimes they're larger setups, sometimes they're smaller, depends on the chart also, but they're self-tuning. They tune themselves to the market conditions bar after bar, and for that reason, they never stop working.
Is
Like
it software based?
there are indicators that plug into some of the, best charting platforms. I basically create everything on TradeStation, and they're all adapted for NinjaTrader. Some of my stuff works to a limited extent on some of the more inferior platforms like Thinkorswim or MT4 or TradingView.
That's a whole conversation in and of itself. We don't have to get
It
into
is.
that. I
Right.
happen to use TradeStation, not exclusively. I do use TradingView a little bit, but yeah, Thinkorswim is not very intuitive. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I mean it's good for I trade with Thinkorswim as a broker,
Okay.
but I base my decisions on the patterns I'm seeing on my TradeStation charts.
Okay. So tell us more about Backpack Trader. What it is, a educational course. You got some indicators in there. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, sure. So Backpack Trader comes from my story, as you know. It also symbolizes what we're trying to achieve as traders. There's also this big philosophy that we want to trade less, not more. We don't need another job. For me, the perfect day trade plan is one that you hit your goals in the first few minutes and you turn off the computer and go live your best day.
Absolutely.
And swing trading, once you set up your trade plans, you just trade the same symbols and charts the same way, so that maybe it takes 30 minutes a week on average to place and manage trades with a good swing trade plan.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that the Backpack Trader emphasizes is something that a lot of the trading gurus out there and people selling strategies, many of which are really good, but what it emphasizes is the idea that you can learn technique, you can learn how to paint by numbers, but that doesn't make you an artist, right? So you can learn some good trading strategies and trading techniques, but if you don't know what you need to do exactly step by step to succeed with those strategies, what good is it? You end up just chasing the next shiny object. No one ever succeeds. So I put a lot of my emphasis on teaching people how to succeed with the strategy.
And how do you do that? Is it through live? Are you calling trades live every day, or is it like videos, some combination? How do you do it?
Well, my flagship training program is called the CEO Trader Mastermind.
Okay.
And it's designed to take someone from where they are now, a person trying to trade, which doesn't work out very well, and we can get into the reasons why, and transform them through this step-by-step process to transform them into the CEOs of their trading business. So the idea is to learn how to create a trade plan, prove it, and then acquire belief in it so that you could run it. Because the reason traders fail, as you know, you're trading into the future, which hasn't happened yet. And that makes people feel insecure, and you want to run away from insecurity because in the end, on a primal basis, you perceive it as a threat against your survival, right? So everyone does everything wrong when it comes to trading, a person trying to trade. But through this process that I've created over many, many years of creating strategies, teaching people to use it, calling a live trade room, working with countless traders over the years, I've come up with this step-by-step process where we create a trade plan, you prove it, you acquire the belief in it, you learn how to execute it flawlessly and perfectly, and you go through these steps I call the trade plan hacking framework, is what I teach inside of the mastermind. And you get to one step where you earn the rites of passage to finally open your doors to the public and start trading live.
Wow.
Just like opening up a new dry cleaning business down the street.
Right.
I mean, you're ready to do it, and you've put yourself in the most advantageous position to succeed before you've risked one penny in the market.
Now, what is that process look like? Do you have a live room every day, or do you do it through a series of videos or some combination?
Yeah, all of the above, really, because we do live trainings typically twice a week.
Okay.
Sometimes more, it just depends because I'm sometimes traveling. But so we have the live training. We also have the mastermind comes with 4 of my best strategies, and each strategy has a membership site with video-based training. But so you have the live room to bring all your questions and get things answered, and we
Right.
follow that framework, the trade plan hacking framework. But then you also have a lot of support materials to learn each strategy one by one. You know, some people, you have to develop your own style, right? So you don't quite know what that is, but I provide the tools to do that. But it's a combination of live training, the video-based, which they have access to, and all the replays, of course. You know, I got the Library of Congress worth of material. And then the live trade room, 2 of my students are running 2 live trade
Oh, wow.
rooms
Okay.
right now.
So you have live trading going on that you're not hosting, like right now, every day?
Yeah. In 2022, I stepped away from the live trade room after 18 years. I
Right.
didn't
Yeah, it's
know it was going
exhausting.
to be permanent.
It's
Yeah, I mean, but it was a
exhausting.
lifestyle.
Yeah, yeah.
But I
So
figured I
so
paid
you
my
talk
dues.
a lot about, without, you didn't actually use the word. I have found that traders hate this terminology. Uh, Trader psychology. The word psychology, maybe I don't think it's a great word. I think maybe mindset's probably a better word than trader psychology. I think maybe because when people hear the word psychology, they think of something's wrong. But
Yeah.
you and I both know that like 98% of trading, let's call it 85% of trading is what's going on up here, right? And then maybe
I
the other
agree.
15% is your methodology or your system. Maybe it's more 80-20. I don't know. Maybe I'm cutting it too close, but most of it's what's going on up here. And I heard you didn't say it, but you just said it subtly. So let's unpack that a little bit. And so I'll ask the question, what do you think are the mistakes you see traders make the most, especially early on, beginner traders?
Well, I mean, I always put my finger on the root of all evils when it comes to why traders fail, and I don't know if you know, but I have an ebook called The 12 Powers of Successful Trading, which I typically give
No.
away. And
How do we get,
yeah,
how does the audience get that if they wanted to get that right now?
well, we were giving it away on our website. I think there's something else on the website now, but anyone that wants to send me an email, Troy at
Okay.
backpacktrader.com,
If you give
I'd
me
be
a
happy
link,
to.
I'll put it in the description.
Yeah. So the first power is the power of why. In other words, if you don't really know why you're trading, it's going to guide every decision going forward. And most people think they know why they're trading. They say they're trading to make money, which is the reason to trade. But then their actions don't reflect. If they're really trading to make money, then why are they doing this? Or why are they doing everything wrong? Why are they not? There's a list of things we can go over. So I always say that if you want to succeed at trading, first you have to really take ownership of why you're trading. And then you have to have that conversation with the person in the mirror to make sure that what you do is congruent with your reason for trading. So the second power, the next logical question is, well, if I'm trading to make money, how do I do it? And the answer is, it's in the trade plan. You have to create a trade plan. You have to prove it first. You can prove you can make money before you risk your money if you know how. And so the mistake that most traders make, I think, is, first of all, they don't know why they're trading. They think they do, but their actions suggest they really don't understand that about themselves, which is they're doomed to fail. And then the second thing is they don't know how, or either they don't know what a trade plan is, or they don't know how to go about creating it in a way that's meaningful and will put them in the strongest position for success, sustained success. So those are the 2 big things, and one follows the other, of course. But most people,
You want to tell us about the other 12? The other
yeah,
Yeah,
I'd be
absolutely.
happy to.
I'm
Um,
super curious. Yeah, another 10 to go.
yeah. Okay. So let's see if I can remember them all. So the power of why, the power of the trade plan. Then there's going to be I won't say them in any particular order, but there's the power of mechanical rules. Because if you have mechanical rules, then you have something that you can go back and test and prove with objective clarity, right? The power of dynamic trade setups.
Hmm.
So those are trade setups that can adjust to market conditions and dance with the market. I think that's really important because there's a lot of fad trading strategies that work during this current market condition for a little bit of time, but
Right,
once things change, the strategy's not able to adapt and it breaks.
right.
So I think that's one of the 12 powers. Another one is the power of structure. And like I said, if a good system could identify a pattern, the immediate past, could it tell you what the immediate future is going to be right on the chart so that you have something to plan your trade around and then use that same structure to go back and prove the last 100 plus sessions you would have won a majority of them if you have structure, the power of structure. So it shows the entry, the targets to stop, the rules to follow from start to finish, when to move your stop to break even, when to trail, all those things so that you know before you take a trade already where you're getting out of the trade. You know it all before you get in. And that's a trade plan of one trade, but the overall trade plan is how that fits into your trading business each day. When you open, when you close, what are your goals? What's your circuit breaker? How much are you risking? What market, what chart, all that. So the power structure all fits into the other things I just mentioned. Another biggie that a lot of people seem to overlook is the power of lifestyle. And I think this is super important because a lot of traders try to adapt their trading to take care of what they need and want. They put their personal needs in front of the needs of their trading.
Mm.
And so they end up over trading. They end up making the wrong decisions because they need to pay their mortgage and the market will only give what it will give. And so your lifestyle,
Kind of
you need
comes
a
back to
trading
the
system.
why, doesn't it? It comes back to the why are you
Yeah,
trading? Are you trading because you want to look good, because you want to be rich and look rich, or you're trading because you want to provide for your day to day? Like your why is it's a really deep question, in my opinion.
it
It
is.
really is the first thing. And then, uh, there's a lot around, the risk that goes around. What are you willing to risk to solve your why is a big part of it as well.
Yeah. So, and I'm a big believer that you shouldn't risk anything you can't afford to kiss goodbye and wake up tomorrow and your life hasn't materially
Mm.
changed. So there's a whole money management formula that we teach in our trade
Oh,
plan
okay.
hacking framework of money management, and the three-legged stool of trading, which we could talk about, kind of sums it up. But let's see, we were on the power of lifestyle, right?
Yeah.
So the important thing about that is that you give your trading what it needs. You have to think like it's a business, not like you're an employee. So you have to give the trading business what it needs, and you should have it. It should support your lifestyle. You shouldn't have to change your lifestyle to support your trading. So it's a big topic.
Mm,
It really is.
mm.
Um,
That's a good one. That's a good
it's
one.
it's super important that most people don't even think on,
Mm.
but they learn it. Like you might go, hey, these 4-hour charts look incredible. Look at all these great trades. Imagine doing that day after day after day and the imposition it puts on your life, trying to manage a bar that happens every 4 hours. It's not for everybody.
Right.
You might think it is, but 6 months from now, are you still doing it? I mean, you're driving to the dentist and all of a sudden you got to pull off the road to place a
Right.
trade or whatever.
Right. Right.
And, you got to think about lifestyle, I think. A big one that most people don't understand or recognize is what I learned from NetPicks actually in those early years. It's so important. It's part of the 12 powers. It's the power of quitting.
Power of
And
quitting.
so
The power of
power of
when to
quitting,
step back.
well, it's really designed to tell you when to stop trading for your session. Like when you hit your goals,
Mm.
we hit our POQ. The idea is you take what the market wants to give you, not what you want from the market. So it goes back to the other powers. And so when you create a trade plan, you have a specific goal you're trying to achieve. Maybe it's hitting the second target and having a positive result on X amount of trades during a certain window of time each day. Very clear. And I always use the example of a trade I did last year. I was actually in Florence, Italy, and I was in a cafe and I was trading in the cafe. It was really fun. Someone was behind me recording this trade I was getting into. It was a crude oil trade. And I was also recording it on my screen. And the trade came up and I'm talking everyone through it. And literally it hit the entry and then blasted through all three of my targets faster than you could sneeze. If you would have sneezed, you would have missed it.
Did you
like in, out,
Did
done.
you have your limits in where you wanted to?
Oh yeah.
Oh, so you had them in and they
Every
just
time.
went off and then
Every
what do
trade
you
is
know what I
structured
think? Most traders would go, "Oh crap. I missed the rocket." They would feel, instead of feeling like they have a winning trade, I did the right thing, I followed my system, it's the opposite. They feel like they blew it, even though they won. And it's funny because my wife's a trader and her and I have had this discussion for years and years and years. You're never going to sell the tippy top. If you're short, you're never going to cover at the bottom. That's what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, and there's also why you're trading. I mean, why are you trading if you're trying to catch the very top and the very bottom? Because you're certainly not trading to make money. You're trading for another reason.
What reason do you
right?
think it is in that case?
Well, I don't know. Because you want to conquer the market. You want to extract every single pip out of the market or tick or whatever. You think it's a failure. I mean, that's not trading to make money. It's a different reason to trade. And so you're going to do things differently and your trajectory is going to be what degree do you have to be off from Earth to be able to reach Mars? Or if you're off by a millionth of a degree, you're going to end up in the Andromeda galaxy. I mean,
it's a good analogy.
Yeah. So what was the question?
You were telling me about this trade, this crude oil trade.
Okay, so I hit my goals and I was done, and it was like it took the whole thing from start to finish was 2 minutes, but the actual trade triggering in and getting out was maybe a half a second.
Right.
and I hit my goals, and later that day I was at a bar ordering some beer, drinking a beer. There's a whole story behind that, but I was talking to some people I just met, just traveling in Europe, and they asked me what I did for a living, and I looked them in the eye real serious, and I said, I work 2 minutes today. What do you do for a living? And the point was, that's the backpack trader style. It's like, you don't want to be in the markets. I don't need another job. I want to get in, get out, get done, get my work done. And through power of compounding, that same trade down the road with a much larger position, you're not working any harder.
Right.
And risk is still a tiny percentage of your overall capital. That's the point.
I think that is a mistake that a lot of traders make, especially in the beginning. So I'll just frame it like this. You get 1, 2, 3 winning trades in a row. Maybe you've only been trading for an hour or so. And I think the human behavior is to keep trading because you're on a roll. That's the default setting. It's not the logical setting. It's a default emotional setting, and we're emotional beings. And I think that is a huge mistake because it's more of a gambling mentality than anything.
Yeah, and that's good. It's a good point you bring up, because would you rather be the house with the house odds, or do you want to be the casino's customer, the gambler?
Right.
Who's gonna win that war?
Yeah,
right?
That's an excellent point. That's an excellent. I never heard it framed that way. That is really good. I like that. I might steal that.
Steal whatever. I just want to help people succeed. But like the gambler is the person that I always say, that's who you want on the other side of your trade, basically.
Right. Yeah.
I always say trading is war. There's a winner, there's a loser.
Yeah.
And sometimes
I don't look at it that way. Do you feel that way?
Well, I just feel like I'm not too concerned about the person on the other end of my trade. I'm concerned about me succeeding, and maybe the person on the other side of the trade is getting out of a winning position.
I think that's a mistake to think of it as a war. It's not a war. It's a war against it's yourself. It's your own personality. It's your own head trash. your ability to
Sure.
follow rules and be more robotic, which is difficult because we are emotional beings.
Well, I always say there's a 5% art to trading too, which I include in what I teach,
Mm-hmm.
which can be reduced to mechanical rules more or less. But the problem is people try to become more than 5%.
Right.
I mean, they become
Absolutely.
too big of an artist. But the metaphor of trading as war is really designed to help the person preparing themselves to just win as much as possible. It's not, I mean, I see your point is true. Literally, it doesn't make sense, but as a metaphor, figuratively, I like the trading as war example because it illustrates how serious it is
Yeah.
to get it right.
Right.
So that's kind of why I use that.
Well, in a way, it's absolutely right because, I mean, when you start losing money, you physically feel like you're under a physical attack as if a lion was chasing you. You've got into a
Right.
downward death spiral of trading, which is almost always related to over trading because you had a
Yes.
couple losses and now you're in revenge trading mode. And
Right.
now it is a fight for your life
Yeah.
psychologically.
Exactly, and that's why the power of why is so
Mm,
important. Because all those things that happen to so many traders, like you say, it's very common. It's usually the most destructive thing that a trader can do, or a person trying to trade. That's why I use that person trying to trade, right? Uh, it's the idea is you have to be psychologically detached. You have to be emotionally detached. Every trade is just a transaction, and so that's why I take this very business-like approach. And the 12th power, which if we want to skip down to that, is the power of the CEO, and that's why I started the CEO Trader Mastermind
that's awesome.
because
So tell everybody where they can find out about your methodology, your course, your mastermind. Where do we go? What website? What are your socials?
yeah. So backpacktrader.com is always a good choice.
Awesome.
And then I love it when people reach out to me. I answer all emails. I spend a lot of my time doing that, but I actually enjoy it. Troy at backpacktrader.com.
Excellent.
But we have a good YouTube channel.
And what's the
You
YouTube
search
channel?
YouTube,
The Backpack
Backpack
Trader?
Trader.
Excellent.
hmm
Excellent.
We have a Facebook and Instagram as well.
That's fantastic. What's the biggest loss you ever took trading?
Apart from losing $299,000 when I sold Cisco too soon,
No,
that
that
was
doesn't
yeah,
count. You didn't lose money on that trade.
the lost opportunity. It was an
Yeah,
opportunity
no, that
cost.
doesn't count. The one that
Well,
hurt
I
so
mean,
bad that you swore you would never make that mistake again.
in the early years when I was trading crude oil, I, was just learning, getting my feet wet and stuff. And I was able to, this is with the $50 round turn broker on the phone, and you had to call the broker to place
Yeah, and it
trade.
took minutes
Yeah.
to get executed. I worked on the New York Mercantile Exchange when I was in
Okay.
college, so I know the whole process. It was a very
Well,
long, you didn't just click. You called, the broker called down to the floor, guy picked up the phone, either he had a long wire, he walked all the way over the broker in the pit, or he screamed it out, or, they did the hand signals, and it was a process. It
right.
would take a couple minutes to
Yeah.
get filled.
Incredible, huh?
Incredible how far we've come or how old we are.
That,
That
yeah,
too.
that's the sad thing. Uh, Made like 12 grand in 3 weeks time working with a broker on the phone all the time. And then, I took her advice and lost it all in one day.
Uh,
So that was pretty painful. And it taught me a real important lesson. Of course, it was just one of the building blocks along my journey. But I always point to that because I still remember the feeling when you take a loss like that for the first time.
it's a gut punch.
It's hard to deal with.
I
Yeah.
think the worst thing that can happen to a new trader is they make a boatload of money on one trade right out of the gate. I mean, and it can happen. Uh, I just quick lesson just from my own life. I was a stockbroker. I started in '94 as a stockbroker. Who could ask for a better time to be a stockbroker and someone who's into technology as much as I am? Uh, and I was only buying tech stocks because I just love technology and everything worked. And then this new idea came along called the internet which I thought, oh, this is great. I'm going to buy anything that says .com. And so I started racking up these stocks for my clients, all these .coms, AOL, Qualcomm, Cisco Systems was a trade, Microsoft, Intel, Sun Microsystems was a name you may remember, all these stocks. And I was just in the right place at the right time. I had no idea what I was doing. And I had like the biggest, winningest trade run you could ever imagine. And when 2000 hit, I watched fortunately, my clients had been in for a while, so they didn't lose everything, but they lost almost all the profits that they made. I lost all money that I had made trading. And it was like the biggest gut punch ever. And I've made really bad trades even since then, because I think every once in a while you need a gut punch just to remind you got to stick to your rules. So I think the worst thing that can happen is somebody makes a lot of money right out of the gate, because the level of cockiness that comes with that is, and I was 25 years old, 24 years old on the phone, and suddenly I was a genius recommending real stocks to people. I wasn't a genius. I was just lucky in the beginning of like one of the biggest bull runs ever. So that's just one man's opinion of you need to learn a set of rules and methodology, just like Troy's talking about right now. And the Backpack Trader looks like a great way to learn. So are you trying to appeal to people who are brand new to trading, or maybe people who've taken that gut punch already?
Well, I agree with your gut punch, and I also agree with you that could be the worst thing that happens to new traders, like immediate success. I think that leads to much larger losses in the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
For the reasons you stated. I 100% agree.
So would you say that the Backpack Trader is for people who maybe have taken the gut punch already, or is it for people who are brand new to trading, or both?
Both, because I work with both. I have a lot of traders that have been trading for a while that just want to finally get over the hump and start creating sustained success. I think sustained success is a concept that you need to really zero in on.
Okay.
Because it's, like you said, someone wins right away. That's not sustained success. It's how do you keep winning?
Exactly.
So as far as new traders, I love working with brand new traders. I love working with people that want to reinvent themselves. Maybe they're successful in their careers. They have a good paying job, even a good business like me, but they're just tired. They want more time. They want more control over their lives. And so they want to reinvent themselves. And trading is a good thing to turn to if you can get it right. So I love working with that person because I can help them get it right the first time.
Right. They don't have any preconceived notions. They don't have a bunch of garbage, and that happens a lot too. I know.
Exactly. So I enjoy working with brand new traders, and I have many of them in my mastermind actually that are achieving success. We just did an interview with someone who his husband, he and his wife joined a few months back, and what makes him a unique story is that he made a mistake when he was a young man, and he's serving time in prison.
Wow.
And so he's incarcerated, and his wife isn't, and the two of them are working as a tag team. And he's a really nice guy. He, made a mistake when he was young. He's paying the price now. I don't know really the details behind his story other than, we can hang out and drink a beer at the bar and he'd be great company. He's a nice guy, and his wife, wonderful person. And so I'm really enjoying working with them. And the stories from people from all walks of life that their initial perception of trading is not anything close to reality and what it is. They don't realize it's,
there's a lot of shiny object syndrome. If you look on YouTube these days, it's like worse than ever. These guys come out of the woodwork. They're sitting here like me, except behind, instead of screens and their setup, they got a Lamborghini. A lot of their videos, they have girls and they're on the boat and they're partying, and it's not realistic. It's not a realistic
marketing.
It's marketing. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. One last question here. I've been asking a lot of folks this question. What do you think of the advent of trader funding or all these prop trading firms that have popped up? What's your feeling?
I think if you can figure it out, if you can crack the formula, I think it's great. I also think, though, that a lot of people go about it the wrong way. They don't have a lot of the stuff that we've been talking about through this interview. And so they're not going to be able to achieve sustained success without the things we've been discussing. So if you put all the pieces in place and you actually go through that trade plan hacking framework and treat it like a business, and you can, every trade is a transaction. It's not something that is a reflection of how smart you are or how, your reason for existing in the first place. It's not a self-validating thing. It's theirs to make money. And if you could trade other people's funds, I mean, I think it's fantastic.
Have you tried any of them?
No. I keep thinking of I'm to do it, but I'm just too busy. It's like I've got so much on my plate, and I tend to take on way more than I should most of the time. I feel like not enough butter spread over too much bread as it is. So if I wasn't running my business, maybe I would, but
that sounds like you need a trip to Italy.
Another trip?
That analogy with the bread.
Oh,
the bread,
yeah,
the bread. Anyway,
not enough butter spread over too much bread.
I so appreciate you joining us today. I think it sounds like what you're offering in the Backpack Trader is really a complete system. It's not just these are your chart patterns. It sounds like there's a lot of planning, entrepreneurship in there, really how to set up your whole trading lifestyle in the smartest possible way. So Troy, I really appreciate you spending some time with us. I encourage everybody who's watching this to go check out the Backpack Trader. Thanks again, Troy, for being on the show.